Hello everybody, my name is Josh Hway. I am the owner of Dynamic Photowerks. This is a channel about cars and car photography. I do some videos on the driveway breakdown where I talk to you about cars. I'm also going to be talking about my photography. Today I'm going to be talking about a little bit of photography editing. I get some pretty cool opportunities to photograph some neat cars. One of my favorites that I've gotten to photograph, not because I'm just a Porsche nut, but also because the car itself is extremely special, is a 1979 Porsche 935 race car. This particular car wasn't actually raced in a race program, but this one was actually offered to a private VIP Porsche customer, and he actually raced it like once. It's actually only saw a racetrack once. It's incredible. It's in remarkable shape, and it was an honor to photograph it. In Sunoco blue makes it pretty special, along with the graphics of the Sunoco colors. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into some editing here and show you how I got this result out of a photo that was taken in a very different environment with some circumstances that weren't perfect. But we persevered and we got it exactly the way we wanted it to be, with a colored background to match the color of the car, some shadowing, and a really sharp look. I've actually got it on my wall right over there, and it's one of my favorite photos I've gotten of a very special car. So let's dig into it. Alright, so I've got my two files I'm going to edit here. The other one is the one I've already edited the photo, but we're going to redo it today to show you. So let's start. There's my two raw images. We're going to start by opening it in Lightroom. I'm going to start, open a new catalog. I held down Option and Command to tell it to create a new catalog from the get-go. We're going to just throw it in that folder on the desktop. Let's call it Porsche 935. So create. And we'll pull all three of those in. All right, so this is the finished image we're gonna recreate with the two images I shot. I'm gonna look at both of them. Yeah, I'm gonna end up using both. But before we bring it into Photoshop, I wanted to make a couple of tweaks in Lightroom. Just some color. Let's see what this does. Don't like that. Let's make it a little bluer. Let's fill in a little shadow, a little brighter, a little contrast, not that much. All that. Oh yeah, we're gonna take out the lens issues. So those will all be the same now. That's looking a little washed out, so we're going to make that a little bluer, a little more contrast. And then before we bring it into Lightroom, let's give that yellow. I know that yellow is a little brighter in person, so we'll saturate that a little bit. We'll tweak these just a smidge. Bring up the oranges as well. Bring up the reds a little bit. And we can bring up the blue just a little bit. Let's brighten the blue a little bit as well. And we'll actually sync that back to the other one again. So now they're matchy-matchy. We're going to edit these in Photoshop. Hit Edit In, open as layers in Photoshop. And Photoshop will open. So let's start with this one, this top one. Now bottom one. I'm going to duplicate it just because. And then we're going to get into the pen tool. I'm going to zoom in. We'll start just pen tooling it out. If you haven't used the pen tool already, go ahead and look up some other videos on that. There's a couple of little things you got to know. And some people get a little messy with the pen tool. I tend to stay pretty precise. You know, a lot of people might just kind of not take this much time to perfect their cuts, but I do like them. I like my cuts to be perfect. So there's my shape. What I'm going to do is make selection. Right click, make selection. I usually leave it on 1. If you're dealing with some out of focus things, it can get more difficult. But usually just 1 is fine. And then, so now we made our selection. Now I'm going to actually go in and use the selection tool, the lasso, and make sure I'm on negative. Because what we're going to do is we're actually going to cut out all the windows. Even this partial glass that's partially open. So you can make the call on how you want to handle this stuff, but I decided that what we're going to do is we're going to cut out all this glass, and we can re-add in the shape or the shading in front of the new background. Making sure it all looks pretty good enough for illustration purposes. Then from there I'm going to hit Command J, and that just makes a new layer of your selection. And you can turn off your old layer, you can see what you got. Looks good enough for me. And then if we want to just quickly, since this is just a duplicate, hit Shift Delete, and we're just going to make a new background. I'm going to make it a color. So we'll just kind of start from here. We can grab a selection there, a little brighter, and boom. Oops, I have to turn it on. Hit Shift Delete, color. Yep, that looks fine. Blue. And kabam. Now you can start to see how this thing is going to look. Alright, so that's kind of a quick snapshot of how to get this going. And then in order to... So here's the... Let's look back at the original edit there. So as you can see, what I further did is I worked on a little bit of that gradient there, fixing that up. I mean, it's not perfect. It was good enough for my purposes. I then also cut out a lot of the little reflections along the way. And these are all extra things you can do. So what I did in there, you know, I just started to work with the colors, gradients, started to use the just the paint tool and get this stuff out of here, or the stamp tool, and just start to fix some of those little issues. You have to work slowly and carefully to not get stuff you don't want. Same down here. How do we get that? Oh no. Let's just use this blue because nobody's going to really think about it. Leave the corners there because you want to see the definition. So, like I said, I mean, things don't have to be perfect. What the goal is to make it look really good, but distract the viewer with the good stuff and make sure that their eye doesn't go to any little imperfections that maybe just aren't quite right, or there's a little thing that you just have to take their eye off of it and make sure it's not a distraction. So, like I said, you can go deeper into this photo. I'm not going to do that today, and clean up a lot of like the harsh reflections, a couple like the little mistakes that weren't ideal. But this is a quick illustration of how you can cut out a car, put it on a different color background, or even put in a drop background like a sky or whatever sort of textured background you want to work with, and give your image a pretty cool look. So you don't have to always shoot your cars in a perfect location or under a perfect background or a perfect studio background. You can make things up a little bit and still get it the way you want it to look and really impress your clients and your viewers and your audience that's going to be seeing it. So that is all for today. Thank you for watching. This was a photo breakdown and editing and my behind the scenes photo work a little bit. There's also my driveway breakdowns where I talk about cars. Everything's about cars, everything's about cameras on this channel. So if you like those things, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Drop a comment below and hit the notification bell to be alerted when I have new videos. Have a good day.